going to open up with a statement from volume 13 of Manuscript Releases, volume 13 of Manuscript Releases, page 394. It's a common statement in this message. Volume 13 of Manuscript Releases, page 394. From paragraph 1. 13 MR 394 from paragraph 1. So it's a very common statement. Paragraph 1. It says this: we have no time to lose. Troublous times are before us. The world is stirred with the spirit of war. Soon the sins of trouble spoken of in the prophecies will take place. The prophecy in the 11th of Daniel has nearly reached its complete fulfillment. Much of the history that has taken place in fulfillment of this prophecy will be repeated. Much of the history that has taken place in fulfillment of this prophecy will be repeated. In the 30th verse, a power is spoken of that shall be grieved, and return and have indignation against the Holy Covenant. So shall he do, and he shall even return and have intelligence with them that forsake the Holy Covenant. Then she quotes verse 31 to 36. Sins similar to those described in these words will take place. We see evidence that Satan is fast obtaining the control of human minds, who have not the fear of God before them. Let all read and understand the prophecies of this book. For we are now entering upon the time of trouble spoken of. Then she quotes Daniel 12 verse 1 to 4. That's the close of human probation. Right? The Spirit of the Lord is being withdrawn from the world. It is no time now for men to exalt themselves. It is no time for the people of God to be erecting costly buildings or to be using those entrusted talents for means of glorifying themselves. Whatever we do, we should do economically. The buildings we erect should be plain, without useless display. Let us beware of selfish greed. So remember when we were identifying the time of the end in the other presentation, we were just reading quote after quote about what Sister White identified about the time of the end. She mentions Luke 21, Matthew 24, and Mark 13 in connection with the time of the end. And one of the things that Christ says that after the parable of Luke 21, let's go to Luke 21. After the parable of Adventism, Luke 21, after the parable of Adventism.
I think it's 20, after 29.
Just get there. I'll just give you the verse just now. So, yeah, it's after verse 29 is the parable of Adventism, right? Then, if you go to verse 34, it says this, and take heed. So, Luke 21:29 is the parable of the Seventh-day Adventist Church. Verse 29 says that, behold, and he spake unto them, behold the fig tree and all the other trees. Say, behold my people in the Gentile world. Right? Other sheep I have which are not of this fold. I have this sheep and the other sheep. Right? So it's the parable of the Seventh-day Adventist Church. Right? But after the parable of the Seventh-day, when the Seventh-day Adventist Church has come into focus at the time of the end, because this is marking the time of the end. This is the history of the Seventh-day Adventist at 1989, at the time of the end. Right? Then she says this, verse 34. Let me just read step by step from verse 32. Verily I say unto you, this generation shall not pass away till all be fulfilled. So from 1989, this generation cannot pass away of Adventism, because all has to be fulfilled. Like when the time of the end arrived in the time of Moses, that generation would not pass away until they could be delivered from Egypt. Right? Verse 33, heaven and earth shall pass away, but my words shall not pass away. So what are God's words in light of what we've been studying in my presentations? The prophetic past. Right? Which is lighting the path of the future. So verse 34, and take heed to yourselves, lest at any time your hearts be overcharged with three things: surfeiting, drunkenness, and the cares of this life, and so that the day shall come upon you unawares. So this becomes present truth. That there are certain things that are no longer important in this generation. Right? For as a snare shall it come on all of them that dwell upon the face of the whole earth. And what is the whole earth? It's the United States, which is the side of the Bible prophecy. Right? Watch ye therefore and pray always, that ye may be accounted with to escape all the things that shall come to pass and stand before the Son of Man. So I'm going to end there. Then I'm going to read the next statement. It's great controversy. Page 391, paragraph 2. Great controversy, 391, paragraph 2. So the opening statement was identifying, page in MR 394, paragraph 1, which is identifying the time of the end and your present duty in terms of all the things that you need to do. But what she was identifying in the first paragraph, so the first statement that you read was this: the history in the 11th chapter of Daniel is going to repeat at the end. Right? And this is what we've been identifying about all those past histories repeating at the end of the world. But I'm going to read another statement to this effect. Right? This is great controversy, 391, paragraph 4, I think. As early as 1842, a direction given in prophecy. 392.2. 392.2. As early as 1842, the direction given in this prophecy to write the vision and make it plain upon tables, that he may run that readeth it, it suggested to Charles Field the preparation of the prophetic chart to illustrate the visions of Daniel and Revelation. So that's the 1843 chart, right? The publication of this chart was regarded as a fulfillment of the command given by Habakkuk. What was the command given by Habakkuk? Write the vision, make it plain upon tables. But what was the vision going to do?
Speak.
It was going to tarry. After tarrying, then it will speak at the appointed time. So when they produced the vision on that table, it had to tarry first and then speak at the appointed time. Are we together? So we're going to do what he has been doing. So I'm going to take it back to the Millerite history so that we can put in place our history, 1989, because he has already taught us of 1989, 9/11, midnight and the midnight cry. Right? He has already taught us that. We're together, right? Yes. Okay, good. So what happened in August 11, 1840? Islam was restrained. For the first angel's message of that history was empowered. Right? So the first angel's message of this history is empowered. Right? And the age of revelation comes down. When the age of revelation comes down, the 1843 chart is produced. Thank you. The 1843 chart is introduced, right? But when this is introduced, it is identifying that the vision is going to tarry. Right? So the vision tarries April 19. But at the end it was going to speak. When was it speaking? 22 October 1844. That was the appointed time. But what we've identified is this. Luke 21 is identifying the parable of Adventism, right? And Sister always said that the parable of the Seventh Adventist Church of Adventism is going to be repeated in the very later, right? And this is the history that is reported at the end of the world. Here, Islam was restrained, right? Then you get to the time of the end of our history, when the first angel's message is empowered. You get the angel of Revelation 18 come down, right? After it has come down, what is introduced? A chart is introduced, right? As the chart was introduced. Because when the Millerites were identifying Habakkuk chapter 2, they had connected with it Ezekiel chapter 12, which is the effect of every vision. So, here, the charts are introduced, but it now becomes the effect of every vision. And what are the charts identifying? What is the message of the charts? It's the close of human probation, right? Unto 2030 days, then shall the sanctuary be cleansed. And when is the sanctuary cleansed? At the Sunday law. So when these are introduced, they are identifying the introduction of a tarrying time. God's people did not understand it then, but the tarrying time was already ensued. Right? So it was starting because remember, in this history, this way mark is already been shown by Nyasha. Because of the blending comes to this one point. Because when the first angel's message comes, it announces the second angel's message, so the two are blended. Right? The tarrying time begins, but the vision is yet for an appointed time. In the end, it shall speak and not lie. In the appointed time, as the sun will. But the reason why I took us to that quote in Greek converse is this. From here, from the appointment of the message of our generation, from 9/11, all the truths of sacred history become present truth. They fit in our history. And that is what we're identifying from yesterday, that all the time of the end that you know in the Bible, they take you to the story of the Middle Preparations, of the last kingdom of Earth's history, right? Which is running from 1989 up to the mid-90s. And Luke 21 is identifying the church, right? But remember, it is the land and the people. So where were God's people raised up?
USA.
The United States. So at the time when the United States is going to be judged, the people are going to be judged. Remember in Egypt, what happened in Egypt? When Egypt was being judged, who was also being judged? God's people. Because if on that night when the angel of death was sweeping through the camp, if you did not have blood marked on your door, were you going to survive? You're not going to survive. So it's the end of the people. So it's identifying the history now of the United States and of the Seventh Adventist Church. That is now ensuing. That probation is now about to close for that group of people. Are we still together? Okay, good. So with that in place, we now understand that everything else condenses into this history. Yes, sir.
On the line of Revelation chapter 10 is 19 April and 22 April 1944. What happened on 22 April 1844?
It's a typo. This is 22 October. The vision was going to speak on 22 October 1844. Okay. Good. So, if you go down to chapter 11, verse 40, can someone read Daniel chapter 11, verse 40, and Daniel chapter 11, verse 41? Daniel 11, 40, and Daniel 11, 41.
And at the time of the end shall the king of the south push at him, and the king of the north shall come against him like a whirlwind, with chariots and with horsemen and with many ships, and he shall enter into the countries, and shall overflow and pass over. He shall enter also into the glorious land, and many countries shall be overthrown, but these shall escape out of his hand, even Edom and Moab, and the chief of the children of Ammon.
Okay, good. Daniel 11, verse 40 is identifying a long drawn out war between the king of the north and the king of the south. In the beginning of this war, the king of the south is in ascendancy. And you mark it at 1989. That's what we've been teaching in this message. This message is What? 1798, thank you. 1798, not 1989. So the king of the south is ascended in 1798 and he wins the war. Right? 1798. But then there's a retaliation that happens, and the retaliation happens in 1989. Right? Then we skip a history from there, which is identifying 1989. We go to verse 41, which is identifying the Sunday law. Right? So, at the beginning of this message, when this message was unsealed, right, remember, all this time of the ends, God begins to unseal the message. When this message was being unsealed, God, when Daniel was standing in his lot, God was announcing the close of probation or the shut door for our generation. Right? Because the Sunday law is the shut door for the United States and for the Seventh-day Adventist Church. In 1798, what was the message that was being announced? There was going to be a shut door. Right? On October 20, 1844. The Church of Philadelphia announces that Christ is the one who has the prerogative of opening the door and shutting them. When he has opened, no one can close. So the door was open, it was shut. Right? In Noah's time, what was the message announcing? The shut door again. Because remember, when you got into the ark, what was shut? The door was shut. So all those messages, when you get to this time of the end, is that announcing the arrival of that shut door for the generation that is now being tested by God for that generation. But the thing that the reason why we went to Daniel chapter 11 is this: is the history becomes mute. Right? It becomes mute from 1989 to the close of human creation. Right? So I'm just going to put Daniel 11. 41 here, which is the national Sunday law in the United States. And then the beginning of the verse is Daniel 11, 40b. So it appears as if that is the end. Like there is nothing else that is going to happen in between. So what the line of the tribe of Judah now through 13 MR 394 paragraph 1, 2, and 3, it now shows you that much of the history that has taken place in the fulfillment of this history shall take place. Right? So, when you go back to the beginning of Daniel chapter 11, right, what does Christ do? He declares the end from the beginning. So Daniel chapter 11, verse 40 to 45 was the beginning of this message. It was identifying this way man and this way man. Daniel chapter 11, verse 1 to 4 begins to unravel or to open up what is going to happen before you get to the Sunday law. Are we together? Right? So let's go to Daniel chapter 11, verse 1. So can someone read verse 1 of Daniel chapter 11?
Also in the first year of Darius the Mede, even now it's true to confirm and to strengthen it.
Verse 2.
And now will I show thee the truth. Behold, there shall stand up yet 4 kings in Asia, and the fourth shall be far richer than they all. And by his strength, through his riches, he shall stir up all against the realm of
Creation. So Daniel 11 started in verse what? In verse 1. In verse 1 you said that the first year of Darius, what is it? It's the time of the end. And it's in which kingdom? The Persian kingdom. Right? And God is saying, there shall yet arise how many kings?
3 kings.
3 kings. And the fourth shall be far richer. So it's identifying that from the time of the end, in the midst of the Persian country, right? There shall arise 4 kings which are noted in scripture. And when these 4 kings arrive, what's going to happen? The fourth one shall stir up the kingdom of Russia. Right? You see that? So let's go back to Daniel chapter 10. And then we come back. Daniel chapter 10, and we come back. Let me just see what verse that I want in Daniel chapter 10. Daniel chapter 10 verse 20. Daniel 10 verse 20. Then said he, knowest thou wherefore I come unto thee? Right? And where is Daniel standing? At the time of the end again, right? But that's what the verse identifies. It was in the 3rd year of the reign of Cyrus, king of Persia. Right? Wherefore I come unto thee, and now I will return and fight with the prince of Persia. Right? And when I am gone, lo, the prince of Grecia shall come. So God is now clarifying that whilst is in the kingdom of the Medes and the Persians, God is now clarifying that immediately when I'm done with these princes of Persia, who's going to come? The king of Grecia. And who's the king of Grecia? What's the king of Grecia? Alexander the Great. But Alexander the Great is a king of a worldwide nation. Right? So what God begins to do now is starts clarifying that even though you're in the kingdom of the Medes and the Persians, very soon we're going to get a transition from the Medes and the Persians to the Grecians. Right? Verse 21. But I will show thee that which is noted in the word of Scripture, and that there is none that holdeth with me in these things but Michael your prince. Then he goes to start again, taking the time of the end. And then verse 2 of Daniel 11. We're just going to continue. And now I will show thee what the truth. Behold, they shall stand up yet 3 kings in Persia, and the fourth shall be far richer than they all. And by his strength and by his riches he shall stir up all against the realm of Grecia. Right? And that word against can be translated as what? With. Right? Good. So they're going to stand up yet 4 kings. And who are these 4 kings? Historically. Who are these 4 kings historically?
Cambyses.
Good. Badia of false Smyrnis. Darius. And Xerxes. Nice. Martin? Yes, the same as most. If you're going to be looking at historical sources, they'll tell you that Badia is false Smyrnis. Right. Right? So let's go to verse 3. Okay, before you go to verse 3, let's go to verse 3. Let's go to verse 3. It says this. And a mighty king shall stand up that shall rule with great dominion and do according to his will. And what does it mean that a mighty king stands up? What does it mean that when a king stands up?
It begins to rain.
It begins to rain, right? In Daniel chapter 8, you see that phrase stand up a lot. Daniel 8:22, Daniel 12:1. It's identifying that a new king is reigning. Right?
Yes.
And a mighty king shall stand up, and he shall rule with great dominion, and do according to his will. Right? Verse 4. And the king shall stand up, and his kingdom shall be broken, and shall be divided towards the 4 winds. And shall be broken and divided towards the 4 winds of heaven, and not to his posterity, nor according to his dominion, which he ruled, for his kingdom shall be plucked up even for those other besides him. Right? So in verse 4, we see the word dominion. Right? And that word dominion is not the word dominion as you understand it in the previous verses. It's identifying parallel governments. That when this king comes, he's going to set up parallel governments, or governments that are running concurrently, one with the other. Right. So, we've already been taught about the seven thunders. Brother Nyash was hammering the seven thunders, but he was doing it in the morning. But everyone has a little bit of information about the seven thunders. With the last seven kings of Judah, right, concerning the seven thunders, the last two kings, where do they line them up? Where do we line them up? Where do we line them up? The last two kings. Zedekiah.
Sunday.
Right? So the last one is Zedekiah.
Yes.
It's the son-in-law. And who's the second from last? Joachim, which is the son-in-law. So which is the midnight cry. Right? And then for the seven thunders, the last seven kings of Israel, how do we line the first two?
MC and Sunday.
MC and son-in-law. And who's the first one?
Jeroboam 2.
Jeroboam 2. And Zachariah, the Lord remembers. And what this is identifying, as we have seen in the morning. Was it in the morning or yesterday when we were doing the thunders? In the morning today?
Yeah, this morning.
Okay. Is the joining of the two sticks, or the running of two parallel kingdoms. Either they're joining or being dismantled, but the point is, we have the running of two parallel kingdoms. And you know this already, right? In Daniel chapter 2, we have a stone that is cut out of a mountain. Right? And it's already in the public record. We have a mountain and a mountain. Right? And this stone is cut out of the mountain, is cut out without hands. And what does it do? It goes and smashes the image, right? But if you have a mountain and a mountain, what do you have in between? A valley, right? With a valley. Right? If you go to the book of Joel chapter 3, it tells you that multitudes are in the valley of decision making, right? And it's identifying the joining. It's saying that the heathen are being awoken. And when the kingdom of Grecia is being awoken, right? Because it's saying, "And the fourth shall stir up against the realm of Grecia." It is stirring up the multitudes are being awoken in this valley of decision making. Because they need to start making a decision, right? They are being awoken. But this stone, which is cut out, is going to, within this valley, smash the threefold union, right? Or the makeup of Babylon. So I'm just going to draw the image. Forgive my artwork. Right? It is going to smash this image in this history, right? But when it is smashing this image in this history, it is in the history, because it said, "In the days of these kings shall the God of heaven establish an everlasting kingdom." Right? But the establishing of that kingdom is progressive. So you're going to see let me just read it down. So what you're going to see is this. You're going to see, I'll just put the midnight cry here, and put the sun over here, just for the sake of clarity. That when this stone hits this image, the same God's kingdom is being established progressively. So I don't know how to introduce that. God's kingdom is being established progressively because this stone is getting more matter or more light matter so that it becomes a mountain at the end, right? So it's going progressively. But as it is smashing this thing, it is dismantling into powder until it is nothing, the image. So you have two kingdoms running parallel together. One is God's kingdom, but you see this concept of these two kingdoms that are running parallel. One is being taken away, one is being established. Right? But this is in terms of God's people. Right? But in terms of the United States and the kingdom of Grecia, which is the 10 kings, was there two kingdoms that are running. The United States is falling as the sixth kingdom of Bible prophecy. Its dominion is going away, whilst it is establishing a new kingdom, which is the seventh, but which is like the sixth, because of the 666, right? So that's why you have that word dominion, because it's identifying a parallel kingdom of one kingdom that is being established and one kingdom that is being removed. Right? Is that clear? Okay, good. So Daniel 11, verse 2, verse 2 up to verse 4 gives us clarity on this transition under the fourth king. Right? But this is not where I want to go to. Right? Because this is already in the public record. I want us to go to verse 2. Let's go back to verse 2. But remember what I said when I was beginning? I said that God gave us Daniel 11 verse 45, and when it was given, it appears as if that this history was mute. Then we began to understand Daniel chapter 11 verse 1 up to verse 4, where God brought us back to verse 1, 2, 3, and 4 to start clarifying the events of what's happening in terms of the number of presidents that are coming and the kings that are rising in Babylon. And we proved that already from Daniel chapter 7, we were identifying that in Daniel chapter 7, there's kings that are being identified as arising out of the earth, those kingdoms. And they're tied up at the time of the end. And we went to Daniel chapter 8, which is identifying again the third year of Belshazzar, which is the time of the end, and starting with the Medes and the Persians at the time of the end in the United States. Right? So it's giving you clarity of the exact order of the number of kings that establish the robots of thy people, or that establish the rise of Rome in the United States as the subject of the prophecy. Right. So let's go back to Daniel chapter 2. Because God now begins to open up in a progressive manner what is coming. Right. So he has opened up that there are going to be 4 kings. And these 4 kings have already been typified by kings in the past. Remember we read Isaiah, where we read that in the days of Uzziah, we have Uzziah, Jotham, Ahaz, Hezekiah. Right? And you can show that each of these characters correspond to each of these. Okay, Uzziah. What did Uzziah do? He sinned against his own body. He had a sin of death. He got leprosy. What did Clinton do? What is the sin of his own body? Fornication. Right? So you can see that each of these kings have a characteristic that will fit with these guys. What was Obama known for? Taxes. What is Ahaz known for? Taxes. Even if you're going to put the first 4 kings of Israel, they will fit correctly like that. Who was the first king? So, spiritualism, same sin with this guy, right?
He was impeached.
Impeached, right? The next one? David. The next one? Solomon. What is Solomon known for? Taxes. Right? The next one? Rehoboam. And under Rehoboam's charge, what happened? The kingdom was divided. You had the 2 northern tribes and yet parallel kingdoms that are running together. And it is the story of Judah. Right? the kings of Judah. So you see that. So when you take all these 4 kings, they will always line up with this, but this is not where I want to go. I want to go back to verse 2. So I want to do a little bit of history. And now I will show thee the truth. Behold, there shall stand up yet 3 kings in Persia, and the 4th shall be far richer than they all. And by his strength and riches he shall stir up all against the realm of Grecia. So the stirring up of all against the realm of Grecia did not, it was a progression of events. If you go in and look at the history, which is called the Syrian Wars, Greece-Syrian Wars. And what I want to bring to the attention of people is that Greece that is being referred to is not Greece under Alexander the Great. Alexander the Great, it was still yet far in the future. The kingdom that was still the kingdom subject to prophecy was the Medes and the Persians. But they were Greek states. Are we together? Right? And in the terminology of Daniel chapter 11, they are denoted as north and south. So, based upon that terminology, who is north and who is south? Before we do any other proof test, we know in Daniel 11 verse 40, the king of the north is the papacy. Right? But I'm saying, according to the context of Daniel 11 verse 1 to 4, who is the north? The Medes and the Persians. Is that correct?
Yes, line upon line.
Line upon line is the Medes and the Persians. And who's the south? The Grecians. Andrew, is anyone?
Say that again, Antonella.
Okay.
Just say what you said. Just say it again.
In terms of, from the time you get, the Medes and the Persians are coming from the north in reference to Jerusalem. Right? And there shall yet arise 4 kings in the kingdom of the king of the north. That's what it's saying. Is that correct? There shall yet arise 4 kings in the kingdom of the king of the north. Because the Medes and the Persians are coming not in reference to Jerusalem. Right? Right? But they shall stir up against the realm of Grecia. And in Daniel chapter 11, the battle is only between the north and the south. So, with Grecia will be what? The south, in terms of the battling, because the battling is north, south, north, south, north, south, north, south, north, south, up to the end. Are we together? I mean, you can bring other arguments, like, but I don't want to bring that argument. I just want to, just based upon the grammar of the passage. Right? Because the whole chapter is about north and south, north and south. Right, good. So you're saying that it shall stir up against the kingdom of Grecia. So it shall stir up against the king of the south. Right? So in terms of Jeroboam, let's go back to Jeroboam so that you understand this. We're saying Jeroboam is the king of the north. Is that correct? Right? I'll confuse myself. Let me leave this one. Let me leave this concept for now. Right. Let me leave this concept for now. Good. So we shall stir up against the king of the south. Let's continue reading. So, and by his strength, through his riches, he shall stir up all against the realm of Grecia. And this stirring up is progressive. I'm saying it's called the Greco-Persian Wars. Right? So what happens is this, in the reign of Darius, right? So God has clarified that there are 4 kings that are coming. So what God does now is that he now shows us the history that leads to midnight. With the battles that ensues. Because the first waymark that this king is coming, the 4th king is coming to establish, is the waymark of midnight. Right? So the battles that lead to this midnight are the Persian Wars. Are we together? So God is now clarifying about the intricacies of what's happening between midnight and 9/11. Right? Remember, he said that it took us back, but it starts opening up the history so that we see things happening in the way that it's in the exact order. Right? Brother Nyasa took us to Daniel chapter 11, verse 5, up to about verse 14, where he's identifying Peniel and Raphia, which is pinpointing midnight and the midnight cry. But what God is doing now is that the first 4 verses, they are leading us to midnight. Right? But in the second verse, we have this 4th king. Before the stirring up is completed, the stirring up is progressive. But the history of the stirring up is from the 3rd administration to the 4th administration. Because it is the 4th king that stirs up. Right? Are we together? So the 4th king is the one that is stirring up. Right? But we are already past the 3rd king. Right? So what is left is this. God is now giving us this history, inclusive of this 4th king, because this one is past. But that leads to midnight, because the 4th king, when it comes, is the one who's past midnight. Are we together? Okay, good. So there were a series of battles that led to midnight. Right? The series of battles that led to midnight. And these were started by Cyrus. Right? So when Cyrus comes to the throne, what does he do? He starts conquering nations and taking territories. Right? So the king of the north goes on a rampage of taking territories. And one of the things that he goes on to do, he goes on to take territories in Greece. And he subjugates them. They come under his rule. Right? Right? So when these territories come under his rule, this is in 1989. And this is Cyrus. Cyrus is the king of the north. But who is he? Is Reagan and Bush. What do? They go in and take territories of who? Of the Soviet Union. So let's go down to this verse. B. What does it say? And the king of the north shall come against him like a whirlwind, right? With chariots and horsemen and many ships. What does verse 2 say? It says this, and the fourth shall be far richer, right? And by his riches he shall stir up against the realm of Gracia. So he's going to use his economic might and military might. In verse 2. In verse 40b, he's going to use what? His economic might and military might. And when he's using his economic might and military might, what does verse 40 give us? He says that he shall enter into the countries of the Soviet bloc. And what is he going to do? He's going to overflow and pass over. So he's going to subjugate. This is what happened. So this is what happened with all those nations. Georgia, they became Poland, they became NATO allies instead of being Soviet Union allied. Right. So the Soviet Union lost states here. You see that? So when he's stirring up, so this is the beginning of the stirring up against the realm of Gracia. But what I want you to see is that it's a progressive build-up of wars. Right? So in 1989, Cyrus subjugates, and then there are treaties that are given to, that are made that incapacitate the Soviet Union. Right? And the treaties that are given there, one is called the Cooperative Threat Reduction Act. Cooperative Threat Reduction Act, where it was about ammunition, that they were restrained in the power of what they were supposed to do. Right? They were handicapped, the Soviet Union, in what they could do. Right? So what happens is this now. we have a Clinton administration that comes, we have a Bush administration that comes, and we have an Obama administration that comes. When the Obama administration comes, there's going to be a retaliation. Right? The land that was seized at the beginning, Russia begins to repossess. You see what's happening? Right? So, by the time we get to the reign of Obama in 2014, let me just put it at the bottom there. You're going to have what are called the Ionian revolts. Or the invasion of Crimea.
This just make a distinction between the history and the modern.
Yeah. So historically, during the time of the Medes and the Persians, the Greek states of Iron Heads revolt against the subjugation that we were having, against the territories that were taken by Cyrus, right? Is a revolt. That is historically. 10 minutes. Then in the history of Russia, right, under Vladimir Putin, you see that he's going to annex a city in Ukraine called Crimea. This city used to be part of the Soviet bloc, right? But it was taken after World War II in terms of redistribution, and also in 1991 when these treaties were signed, right? It was agreed that because they were supposed to lower down ammunition. Crimea was a city that was a strategic city for the Soviet Union in as far as ammunition in the naval race. In history we used to call it what? The naval race, no. The race of ammunition. Arms race. Good, not naval race. So in the arms race, because remember, in the Soviet bloc, there was an arms race between NATO and Russia, right? So here, it's like this arms race is beginning again. Russia has to take back what it needs for its strategy positioning in as far as the arms race is concerned. Does it make sense? Right. So this is what it does here, right, in 2014. Right? When it does that, what does the United States do? What does Obama do?
Sends in troops.
He sends in troops, right? And Russia is given sanctions, right? And what is one characteristic about Greece in the time, which was the king of the south, in terms of subjugation, the Grecians in subjugation, right? They hated subjugation. And subjugation of the Grecians led to revolt. When the Medes and Persians, if you read the history, that there were tyrants that were in the city-states that were putting and imposing tyrannic laws on the Grecians, right? And this led the Grecians to revolt, right? So this led the United States to place more measures against Russia, in putting it in a corner, in isolating Russia in terms of the kings. Even if you look at the economic forums that were being held from then on, you know, Putin was always sidelined, and the king is a kingdom, right? And in his biography, Putin, it is clear that whenever Putin is put in a corner, what does he do? He jumps back to fight, right? Okay, good. So when the Iranian revolt happened, Fine. Okay. When the Ionian revolts happened, right, which was started under the Obama administration, during the Obama administration, Obama did not finish the war, right? The fourth king who came in continued the war, as with Darius. Darius is the king that had to stamp out the Ionian revolt. He had to arrange a huge army to try and stamp out the Ionian revolt, right? But he died before he could subjugate or chill down the uprising, right? So his son Xerxes now, the fourth king, he had to come again and deal with this guy. So he assembled a big army, right? To continue the war. And if you know the story of Sparta, right? Leonidas at the 300 against Xerxes, right? So that's the next battle that ensued, which is called the Battle of Thermopylae. In the Battle of Thermopylae, what happens at the Battle of Thermopylae is this. The king of the north, or the Medes and the Persians, appear to have ascendancy in the battle. Right? At the beginning, they appear to have ascendancy. And we are saying that in this battle, when Trump starts fighting Russia, it's going to appear as if he's going to have ascendancy because of the large army that he has. Right? But the battle becomes, if you read the story, it's a stalemate. No one really wins, but it appears as if he has ascendancy. Right? Because he defeats the men at that strait, the 300 Spartans, right? But when he pursues further, he meets resistance. And his fleet of navy is washed away in the oceans, right? So he goes back, right? And then he regroups, right? He sends his other general to go and finish the war at the Battle of Salamis and Plataea. Here, at Salamis and Plataea, the king of the south, the Grecians, they have resistance and they wipe out the Medes and the Persians. And that was the end of the revolt. Right? And there were peace treaties that were signed after that. And there is no record of further Greek or Persian wars from there, right? Because the Greeks had stood for their sovereignty, right? And we know that at midnight, the king of the south is going to have ascendancy over the king of the north. That is what the battle of Raphia is identifying. So I'm saying Daniel 11 verse 2 is giving you the history from 9/11. I won't say from 9/11. When does When does Obama come into power?
2009.
2009. So it's giving you the history from 2009 up to midnight. Why is it giving us the history of 9/11 up to midnight? Because the land of the tribe of Judah is now opening up events as they happen in quick succession. What does Greek Proverbs say in 594? Events to the close of probation and the work of preparation to the time of trouble are clearly revealed. So this is the work of the land of the tribe of Judah in opening up or clearly revealing these events to the close of probation. And we say midnight is the close of probation. But God will not leave these kids to not know what's happening in the exact order. Right? Does it make sense? Right. But obviously we will need to go in and read this Greco-Persian wars so that you see how they fit into this history. I think I'm done. So does anyone have a question? I know you can ask me questions after this. In this 15-minute break. Can we kneel? Dear Father in heaven, we thank you so much for your love and your kindness. I was presenting concepts that are fairly new to me, as I'm still grappling with this history and these three battles and what they mean to God's people at the end of the world. May you give more clarity to this history, but may you also give each and every individual in this house his apportionment as a Berean to go and check if these things are so that these things, those that still being opened up, that they may be fine-tuned, so we may understand all the particular nitty-gritties of the history that is coming to the end. We thank you, O Lord, for your love and your kindness. In Christ's name I pray. Amen.
Amen.